All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the second half of the Wednesday podcast, which means we need to update our Defcon levels and we need to get to the mailbag segment. But let's start with the Defcon levels. Remember, in case it's your first time checking out this segment, we have 1 through 5. 1 is awful. 1 means, in terms of Defcon, which is an actual thing with the United States military, 1 is like war is imminent. That is not good. 5 is go amongst yourselves, live your life. We have no worries whatsoever. You want a 5. You don't want a 1. All right, so let's start here. Quarterback. I have it as a 3. It stays a 3. Didn't move at all. For the second straight week when the Steelers win, I haven't had Aaron Rodgers as a winner or a loser. I think that's kind of emblematic here with a 3. And I've been happy with the way Aaron Rodgers is playing. I think he's definitely playing winning football. But at the same time, I don't think his play is enough to move it up to a 4. So we're staying at a 3. Running back. Went from a 2 to a 3. I was very pleased with what I saw with Kenneth Gainwell on Sunday in Dublin. I told this story in the postgame show. I said it, I believe, on Monday's show, but I'll say it again. When I found out that Jaylen Warren was not going to be playing, I didn't have a great feeling. I didn't think that Kenny G was going to be able to jump in and just carry the load, and he did. And I also liked what I saw from Caleb Johnson. In the small sample size that we got, he was more patient. He definitely took the tough yards. I think that was a good step forward for him, at least in getting out of Mike Tomlin's doghouse. So running back, showing the depth. Kenneth Gainwell looks like he could be a 1-2 punch with Jaylen Warren. I like that. That's gone from a 2 to a 3. Let's go to wide receivers and tight ends. It's a 3. It stays a 3. I love seeing Darnell Washington. That's a huge bonus. DK Metcalf has a huge game. But where's Pat Freiermuth? The guy had 0 targets. Now, I understand they use Spencer Anderson in a lot of jumbo packages against Minnesota. Okay, maybe this is a game-specific thing. But he has had something like 65 yards receiving on the year. And we've played 4 games. That's not going to cut it. That's why the wide receiver tight end stays at a 3. I've got a lot of questions there. And plus, you throw in the injuries to Calvin Austin. That just muddies the water. All right, let's go to the next one. We have offensive line. It was a 2. It goes up to a 3. I know that they surrendered some sacks. The first play of the game was awful, but other than that, they did kind of they kind of anchored down and they got the job done. It was the best running performance of the year. They definitely did give Aaron Rodgers enough time to throw. No penalties. This was a good game. I've got it going up to a 3. Let's go to defense. Defensive backs, they are 3. They stay at 3. Jalen Ramsey's injuries got me a little concerned that he might miss more than just, I don't know if he's going to be available in week 6. Let me put it that way. And so you might get Joey Porter Jr. back, but you might lose Jalen Ramsey. He's a bigger wild card than people are letting on. I really hope he's healthy. If so, it could go up to a 4, but I've got it as a 3. Inside linebacker, it goes up to a 4. It was a 3, goes to a 4. And it's because I saw that when the defensive line is doing their job and they're keeping these guys clean, both Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, they are able to make plays. And I can't not move it up to a 4 when Peyton Wilson has one of the best hustle plays that I can remember. I got to give him credit. Mad props. Patrick Queen also is looking fantastic. It goes up to a 4. Outside linebacker, it was a 3, and it goes to a 4. At outside linebacker, I'm looking at, okay, what are these guys doing that's special? Nick Herbig is doing really well. He's doing his job. When everyone's paying attention to TJ Watt, we've been saying this for years. If they're going to double and triple team TJ Watt, someone else has to be single covered, and it's a one-on-one situation. I shouldn't say covered. It should be a one-on-one. You got to win your matchup. And Alex Highsmith, unfortunately, is great against the run, but is not as good and equipped as Nick Herbig to rush the passer. He is rushing the passer. Nick Herbig's getting after it. I love it. He's a menace to the defense. That's what I call him. Outside linebacker goes from a 3 to a 4. The defensive line is a 3, and it stays a 3. I do love what I'm seeing from Derek Hartman. Cam Hayward looks good. Keanu Benton had a great game. You think it should go to a 4, but I need to see that again. I need to see it against another team. I need to see them duplicate that success before I move them up so it stays at a 3. Special teams. Special teams, I was real close to giving them up a 4. I've been happy with the return units. The kickoff coverage and punt coverage have been better. But I have some serious questions about what Pat Freiermuth is doing on the blocked field goal. Chris Boswell's season gets tainted because Pat Freiermuth just sticks an arm out to try and stop a guy. What are we doing? Awful. And that was a chip shot, too. That was a chip shot kick. And then you throw in Corliss Waitman being told by Danny Smith, also probably Mike Tomlin, to punt it out of the end zone at the end of the game and not try to pin him deep. What are we doing? That's why special teams stays at a 3. And then the fans, I'm going to go with the fan Defcon level to go up 1 to a 3. It was at a 2. People weren't happy after the New England game because they got the takeaways and they felt that they didn't play well enough. I think that the fan base feels a lot better about the team heading into the bye week after that win, the way they played. Yes, the ending was a little bit suspect, but other than that, they played a good brand of football. I think fans are excited that goes up to a 3. Throw in the fact that they're the only team seemingly playing well right now in the division. That helps too. So there you go. There are the DEFCON levels for week 4. We will update these, I guess, next week. Maybe we won't. I don't know. I'll let you know. Let's go to the mailbag, all right? In case you want to know how to get your question answered on the show, all you have to do every Tuesday morning is to go to my Twitter feed at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. You don't have to follow me. Just find the tweet, respond to the tweet. I'll answer that question on the show. So let's get this started. Jeff Coons, our buddy from up north, he said, greetings from Not Matt Canada. Which currently injured Steelers players' imminent return after the bye will have the most impact on the team's performance? He continues in a special shout out to ex-Steelers punter Cameron Johnson in his latest leg injury. The guy just can't catch a break. Yeah, he has another injury for Buffalo. That's who picked him up. So yeah, big shout out there. I will say that for me, I think the injured player's imminent return after the bye that will have the most impact has to be Corey Trice. And that's if he's able to return. Because Corey Trice at least gives you some, I think it gives you a little bit of a boost. Dante Kent coming back is not going to do much. I mean, I'm just talking about IR players first and foremost. I think Alex Highsmith's return will be great. It's going to be an added bonus there. I think they should split time, he and Herbig. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Corey Trice because of the injuries in the secondary. And plus, Herbig's been playing well. Let's go to Nathan Van Slyke. Hey, Jeff, I'm still holding on strong with the Survivor League. In your opinion, which team should I pick this week? I've already chosen Cincinnati, Arizona, Seattle, and Buffalo. Okay, so you've already taken Arizona. Let me bring up the slate of games here so I can kind of help you out. I'm trying to think about which games would be the best decision. So this is the one, remember, Survivor Leagues, you absolutely cannot have multiple teams. So I'm looking at week 5. I'm tempted to say Vikings against the Browns. I think the Vikings will rebound, but I'm going to say, oh my gosh, you already took Arizona. They're playing the Titans. Have you taken Detroit? You have not. I would take the Lions. They're going against the Bengals. That's what I would do. All right, and I'm out of the league. I took the Packers over the Browns, and they got beat, so I don't take that for what it's worth. Brian Haynes asked a question. More worrisome, Calvin Austin or Jalen Ramsey potentially missing 3 games? Jalen Ramsey, hands down, is more worrisome. All right, let's go to James. Hi, Jeff. Plenty to be excited about after the win. There's no question about that. However, what are some things we as fans should have cautious optimism about moving forward? I think that it's the same thing we've always talked about, relying on those key takeaways. It's great when you get them. You just can't rely on them. That's the biggest thing that I want to reiterate to everyone here. It's great when you're like, this is so awesome. They're getting all these takeaways, 5 against the Patriots, had more against the Vikings, should have had more. I think that was a bogus call on the sideline, but that's neither here nor there. And I think that that's the one thing I would say, be cautious. This team's not always going to get these takeaways. They come in bunches. All right, let's go to Annie. Hi, Jeff. Do you think Kenny G will see a snap increase after his performance in Ireland? Thanks for all the work you all do to keep us informed. I do, Annie, think that Kenny G will have an increase in his workload. I think he's proven himself. I think Jaylen Warren has proven that he might still be banged up a little bit. You want to keep these guys healthy as long as possible. Let's go to Tyler Donnelly. Hey, Jeff, it seemed like the defense was communicating and moving around with the offensive movements really well besides the blown coverage on the Addison pass. Do you think Queen is getting better at handling the green dot this year? I do. And I think this is something that was worth discussion last year, his first year in Pittsburgh, was that what he was asked to do in Baltimore and what he was asked to do in Pittsburgh are not the same thing. And so it took him time. And it also takes a defensive line to keep guys like him clean. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Peyton Wilson is a guy that needs someone to keep him clean to be effective. The defensive line started to do their job, but I think Patrick Queen absolutely is having a better year than he did last year. All right, let's go to Brandon Diaz. He asked a couple questions. Actually, he asked several questions. Part 1. He said, last week when I heard you got less questions, I knew what I needed to do, so here we go. Part 1 was the unsung hero of the game. This is, I'm guessing, in week 4. I would say the unsung hero is Patrick Queen. Everyone's talking about Peyton Wilson and that crazy play tracking down Addison, but Patrick Queen had a hell of a game and no one's really talking about it. Number 2, do you think we ran better without Jaylen Warren? Should we as fans be concerned if so? No, I think that the offensive plan was different. They used Spencer Anderson more in the jumbo package. He was the, as Mike Tomlin calls it, the nipple rubber, which is just saying that he is reporting eligible. And I think that helps. So if they can do that with Jaylen Warren, I think he could break some big runs as well. And then lastly, MIA, where art thou, Pat Freiermuth? That's a great question. I brought this up in the Defcon levels. I don't know. I have no idea. Part 2 from Brandon. Are we playing better without Muth? I think that when they got Jonnu Smith, I kind of asked myself, is this redundant? Are we asking these guys to do something that is, it's kind of redundant, you know? I don't know. I can't say they're better without him just yet. Next one. Or how about being better without Highsmith? Again, Alex Highsmith does a lot of things well that Nick Herbig doesn't. Nick Herbig does a lot of things well that Alex Highsmith doesn't. I don't think it's an either-or proposition. It should be and. Play them equally. Get them both on the field. Spell one another. This isn't that complex. Who's at risk of being traded? Highsmith or Muth or neither? I think neither. They see the value in all these players, and injuries do happen. And then lastly, what can we as fans expect from Fans First Sports Network and Steel Curtain Network during the bye? Not much of anything that's different. We're still giving you all the articles. You're not going to see things like winners and losers next week because, well, there's no game. I might do some AFC North talk. Maybe I'll get a guest for Monday. I don't know. It's not going to be anything crazy, but we're still going to be providing you the content. There's some entities that take breaks during the bye week. We are definitely not one of them. So for me, I look at this and just say, I know that a lot of fans are like, yeah, you know, it's a bye week. It's a bye week, but we're just keep on trekking like we always do. And let's finish this up with Steeler Fan 69. He always provides the humor. He said, hello. My wife said I act like a detective too much. She wanted to split up. I said it was a great idea. We can cover more ground that way. I'm sorry. I think I missed that. Either it was a misspelling. My apologies. I'll get some clarification. Next, my friend told me he felt sad because he didn't know the lyrics to YMCA. I said, and I have to sing it because he says it, young man, there's no need to feel down. Good stuff. Thank you all for being a part of the mailbag segment. I do appreciate it. Remember to check out all of our podcasts at Steel Curtain Network. This today at 11 o'clock, we'll have the Fix podcast with Jeremy Betts and his crew. Hopefully we'll have the Steel City Insider a little bit later in the week. We'll have all the latest news and notes for you at steelcurtainnetwork.com, so make sure you stay tuned to that website early and often. Again, steelcurtainnetwork.com. And I want to remind everyone to check us out on every social media handle you have. The only thing we don't do right now is TikTok. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Steel Curtain Network. Go give us a follow. Tell your friends. This is a grassroots movement. We don't pay for performance. We don't pay to have our podcast put out to a bunch of people. We rely on you, the Steeler fan, to say to other Steeler fan friends, have you ever heard of these guys from Steel Curtain Network? And then you share it. So if you can do that, that is a huge boost for us. But that does it for me. I will be back on Friday with Jeremy Jerome Betts, and we'll be talking all things Steelers. But you know, we finish these out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday. Go Steelers.